What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the last episode. Oh, hold on. Wait, what's going on?
I just realized I've had this beer already.
Oh, I think I have too, honestly.
Yeah.
Welcome to the last Cage Fest of this year.
Of this year, yes. We do plan on doing more of them, we just need some time.
Yes.
It's like, Nick, it's not you, it's us.
A little bit of you. So we decided to end it on the movie Mandy.
On the most insane Nick Cage movie we can find. And there's a
Oh
lot of
my
them
God.
out there.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So before we get into that, of course, we always get into the beer because, especially for a movie like this, I got to drink a beer before.
Yeah,
we gotta. Get into this.
I should have drank a beer while I was watching this.
Jeez.
Actually, no, wait. I was drinking a beer while I was watching this. My bad.
See, I watched it. Yeah, I was drinking liquor while watching this, which was necessary. So we are drinking Black Matter from Manhattan Project.
Black Matter.
Oh, focus up, camera. Which I say that because we are on all of the social medias. Now we put out video for each episode.
All right. And while he's showing you the image, I will play you the audio for those of you in listener land.
So you can see.
Smells good too.
Yeah.
Wish we had some smell-o-vision going on here.
You can watch the podcast on Partycast Network or Let's Do a Podcast. So check that out. So this beer, yeah, you immediately smell the coffee on this freaking thing. I mean, and look at the color. Like, it is dark. It's engine oil dark. Like, it's
as dark as the soul of the demon bikers in this movie.
Wow. It's very coffee. Very coffee. What do you think?
It's the first stout I had in a long time.
Yeah, I was thinking that. Well, actually, not for me, I guess. I did go to that Barrel Age Fest. We did have a lot of stouts.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, how was that, by the way? We never talked about that.
Did we not?
No, we never did.
Oh, my God. At this point, it was like, way over a month ago. It was really good. And I actually have a bunch of bottles from it. So we will be drinking those probably during our podcast. Because, like, I'm not going to drink a bottle of that by myself. So I was just like, these will be great for a podcast episode. So
I volunteer as tribute.
They are delicious. So, whenever we went, they gave us like cool glasses for it. And they'd only give you, like, of course, a little bit, like, they're heavy percentages and they want you to be able to go home safely. But, of course, I had my wife drive. I was just like, by the end of the day, because we were there like all day, I was okay, but I was like, still, you need to drive. Like, I'd rather be safe than sorry. But very good stuff. There's only like one of them that I didn't care for because it's a barley wine.
Oh, no. We learned our lesson on that one.
It's still not bad. I still drank some of it, not all of it, but I still drank some. But, I'm not a barley wine.
Yeah, Narbeast ruined it for me.
Yeah. And I know people that love Narbeast, but I'm just like, I think they're just not my thing.
More power to those guys. I just can't deal with it.
Yep. So there's that. Yeah, so what are your first thoughts about this beer, Anthony?
Coffee.
Very coffee.
Yeah, coffee, vanilla, cinnamon. A little bit of cinnamon in there.
A little bit. I wish there was more of it, personally.
Yeah. It would give it like a chocolatey cinnamon toast crunch kind of feel to it. Yeah, like the vanilla just kind of gives it that kind of vibe to it.
Would have been fun. Yeah. It's only 8.9%, right?
Yeah.
So really, for a stout, it's not that heavy. So, of course, we'll drink this throughout the conversation. At the end, we'll rate it because I'm trying to get better about it. We've done it twice.
Yeah, twice in a row. That's a record for us.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's all we've done this whole year so far. So let's talk about some of the events happening for the rest of March. Of course, the one that we talk about every fucking week.
Now this weekend.
It is this weekend, Big Texas Beer Fest. If you haven't gotten tickets, you probably still can.
You're not going to get the VIP tickets at this point, I'll tell you that.
I'm pretty sure they're already gone, honestly, by probably beginning of this month. I don't know. Those tend to go up pretty quick. I mean, what else can I say besides go?
Yeah, everybody's there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, hold on. So, let's see. I want to make sure I haven't said anything that I've already said. So, we have Big Texas Beer Fest. We have Blur Seltzy Fest by Tups on the 26th. Which, if you've not had Blur, their seltzer, it's delicious.
Which a couple weeks ago at this point, you see that they did their groundbreaking for their new facility now too.
Yes. Yeah. And so did 903. They actually did it.
I saw that too.
Beginning of this month, I think. So that's pretty exciting stuff happening.
Yeah.
And then we got the second anniversary beer dinner of Vector Brewing. Burgers, Brews, and Blues at the Heart of Ranch at Clear Fork. Don't know that. The 9-year anniversary of Martin House. 9 years.
Holy hell.
Yeah, that's crazy.
9 years of giving you the pucker factor there.
Yeah. 1-year anniversary of Neutral Ground Brewing. I've
actually heard of them. I've wanted to visit, but I haven't had a chance.
I haven't even heard of them.
Yeah.
Yep, that's this month. Okay. Four Corners Brewing, Fort Worth Fried Chicken and Craft Beer Fest at Panther Islands on the 20. Wait, this is in April. My bad.
Still though, but that's
still coming up. Yeah,
the fact that they're doing that at Panther Island Pavilion, because like Four Corners is in Dallas, right?
Yeah, that's in Dallas. Yeah,
interesting.
So, but things coming up. I mean, there's some cool stuff coming up. Like
I bet you they're gonna have some dope ass chicken and waffles out there.
Yep. And this is on here, even though it's like 2 months away. May 7th is the 7th anniversary for Tops. So I know we'll probably talk about it again, but I might go. I love Tops. And it's a great place. So I might go celebrate with them. They just had their Festival of Darkness not too long ago.
Yeah.
And man, I was so tempted. I love their stouts.
It's like they had to have come out with some newer full grown stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I need to go out there and get some more of that full grown stuff. It's been too long since I've got any of that.
I see. I almost picked instead of this one. I almost got full grown man. Yeah,
that would have been good too. So again, beerandbigd.com is where we get all this information. So as always, I'll put that website in the notes, and definitely go to the website, give it a look, and honestly, like, tweet at the guy. If you have the Twitters, if you got them Twitters, tweet at him
in the Twitter sphere.
Yeah, tell him how much you appreciate all the stuff that he does, because he does a lot. Are we moving on to the movie already?
Let's do it.
All right.
Oh, Ryan's excited to talk about this movie.
Man, this movie was just how I described it whenever my wife was like, "So what'd you think?" And I said, it was very disturbing and stressful. For me, that describes the whole damn movie.
This movie is a psychotic drug trip of a movie. This is basically like if you're into dropping acid or LSD, this will look very familiar to you.
Oh God, it's what I imagine.
It's what I imagine. Yes, I have not, so I can't tell you that for certain. But that's what I've read about this movie.
So, what's the little synopsis that you
found there? The synopsis I've read here, I'm going to read here. So this movie begins with Red and Mandy. They live in the remote woods. Red is a logger. He goes out, cuts down trees, and he helicopters back home. Mandy, they live in the Shadow Mountains. Mandy's a convenience store clerk who lives out there as well. They are attacked one night by a cult of hippies led by Jeremiah, a guy named Jeremiah. He sees Mandy walking on the side of the street, and he's like, "I gotta have her," which dick move on his part. Uh, but they call this guy. He's like a Brian Eno lookalike. I don't know what Brian Eno looks like, to be honest. I just know his music. Uh,
Yeah.
but during the course of things, this guy exposes his manhood to her. That's putting it like generously, which always fun to see when you get to see that in a movie.
Yeah,
But
that time I was thinking, "Oh god, please, not another really bad sex scene."
yeah, I was so worried about that because we've come across a lot of these kind of grindhouse type movies where they have that kind of shit going on, and that was like one of the things I was very happy didn't happen in this
Yeah,
movie.
I was thinking,
Like of all
"Oh,
the shit that happened in this movie, that's the one
no."
thing I didn't, and I was like, thank God.
Yeah, I
Uh,
truly, because as soon as, like, yeah, he showed his manhood, I was like, "God."
and she laughed at it, and it
She
was
was
great.
laughing.
And he couldn't deal with that shit, and it was awesome, and I loved it. I really like how they show how weak the main I don't wanna call him the big bad, but how weak the cult leader is,
Yeah,
Jeremiah.
yeah.
But she unfortunately gets killed. She gets burned alive. She gets put in a bag, doused with gasoline, and burned alive. Red, played by Nick Cage, he sees this. He's wrapped up in barbed wire as this is going on, and he is justifiably freaked out and pissed off by this. They're also pursued by Red. After all this, he has this freak out episode and gets to see the Cheddar Goblin, which was really interesting.
It was so weird.
He pursues the cult's henchmen, who are bikers turned demonic by bad LSD. Staggering back to the house after the attack, he chugs vodka and screams his head off in the bathroom. Then he forges a weapon in shining metal against the Black Sabbath meets Tim Hecker soundtrack. He bludgeons a small army of demon bikers, calling one a vicious snowflake, which was fun. He then cackles as he slits one of their throats, which is also fun. He snorts a huge pile of coke from a shard of broken glass, and then he reaches the cult's hideout where he lights a cigarette from the flames of a burning man's head. Also, there's a chainsaw fight.
There is.
Yeah, which is also pretty fun to watch. I think that puts it. There's really nothing to spoil in this movie. This movie is more of a visual journey than a story.
Yeah.
This movie. So if you're in here for plot, sorry, Bucko.
Yeah, the story itself is extremely simple.
Yeah, so simple.
It's the visual journey of going on it that is a trip. Um,
Hmm,
I
literally.
yeah, I I don't even know what to say. Anthony, help me out here, buddy. I'm struggling with this one.
All right. So what did I like about this movie?
There we go.
So
What are we
what I
liking?
liked about this movie was a visual delight to watch. Again, as we mentioned, the plot of this is very simple. Uh, 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 Very kind of like so. This movie takes place in 1983, the year of my birth, uh, and it really shows me. Oh, great! This is what was going on when I was born. But it's done very much in the characterization of like your grindhouse type films and like your amateur horror films in like the late 70s, early 80s. Very simple plot where a guy and his wife they're living very peacefully not hurting a fly, and then people come out of the blue and like terrorize them, and then you have the journey of vengeance of the husband to basically take down those who wronged them. Uh, in this case, it's in this case it's the husband v- seeking vengeance for his wife who was burned alive.
Mhm.
The thing I really like the most about this movie, however, is after. I think it's like immediately after he gets himself down. So like the cult leaves after they kill the wife. Mistake on their part. They didn't kill him. It's like serious mistake on their part. But
Yeah.
yeah, he gets himself down out of the barbed wire confinement there, and I can't remember if this is before or after he passes out. But he goes into the bathroom. He finds a bottle of vodka, and he like starts chugging it, and he just goes through the entire gamut of emotions. He's like screaming and crying and freaking out. And he's in his tidy whities and socks and a tiger t-shirt.
Yep.
It's a vision to behold. Something you definitely got to see. But he's like, there's I honestly, after seeing all these movies and seeing the movies we saw last year, I think Nick Cage is at his best when he doesn't have any specific lines, where he's just able to just like express himself physically. And I feel like this is very much along those lines. He didn't say a word in the scene. He's just screaming. I swear, the only thing they're missing is like the snot bubbles coming out of his nose. But like screaming, crying, and like he's
Yeah.
just reacting to the fact that his wife has been killed uh, for no reason by these guys because this cult leader wanted her, and then when she like basically dissed him, he was like, "All right, I'm gonna kill you," and basically threw her life away for nothing. Um, so like going through those emotions that it would seem like somebody would go through when when if something in this like this were to happen, just like
Right.
totally freaking out. I thought that was like the best scene in the movie, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, it. So I would say that out of all the movies that I've seen with Nicolas Cage, that one scene is probably the most emotion I've ever seen him do.
Yeah,
Um, I mean, but and we've seen movies where like he's supposed to be breakdown crying, but it's just like, okay. But this, like he really like honed it in. And I do think I wonder if they just gave him the freedom of just be like, hey, I mean, this scene, there's not specifically anything you gotta do, just go pretty much go freak out, pretty much. Like
yeah,
I wonder how they did it because it truly was the most emotion I've ever seen him give,
yeah.
ever. It was a intense scene, and you could feel the intensity, like just sitting there watching it. Um,
Yeah, I will say my other favorite part is when he's in the trailer with his, old army buddy, and he's just talking about what happened, and he's like, "It's like crazy evil, man," and he's like, it's like not as freaked out, but it's like he's like in trying to explain it, he just can't even explain what the fuck happened.
yeah. Um, Besides that, what did I like? Um, I liked the biker demon guys. They were very interesting, and I feel like a very odd twist, but just an odd thing to put into this movie.
Yeah, I think it's so interesting. So you like when you first see them, you think that they're demons or something like that. They're not. They're just dudes who've like got like they're on a permanent bad drug trip.
Yeah, yeah. So it's very weird.
Yeah.
But I thought they were interesting. So I guess that's my favorite part.
Yeah. I was like, what about the part like so what about the part when he goes in like so he gets captured by them because he kills one and then when he runs over him with his car.
Right.
The guy that was like most interested in it was like the guy I was most interested in seeing too because it's like the guy he's like got like knives sticking out of him or something like that. He runs over him,
Yeah.
but like it makes his car like careen off the road.
Yeah, that was weird.
And then there's like the three guys. He's got the one guy who's got like some kind of plastic something or other wrapped around his face.
Hmm.
And then there's the dude doing snorting coke off just like a pile of coke off the table.
Yeah.
And then there's the other dude standing out, burning his car and gets the crossbow bolt through the neck
Yeah.
and doesn't even react to it.
Yeah, he just pulls it out and keeps looking at the fire.
But like the fights for all three of those, like in the first fight, he's like handcuffed to a pipe on one side and his hand is screwed into the floor on the other.
Yeah.
And he's able to still, like, beat this guy down and knock him into, like, like, an oil well, at least initially, he has to fight him again. Uh, he's able to stop the other guy. I forget how he's able to kill the second guy.
Yeah, I don't remember.
But the third guy, I think he gets the axe or something like that, and he's able to kill the third the third the first guy the second time with the axe.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, the fighting, that whole segment of him fighting all those guys, it's very, intense. I mean, it's very action packed, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Um, but man, whenever he goes and he kills like, the non-acid trip people, like the first guy that he kills from the van, oh my god.
Oh, he just, like, shoves the butt of his freaking axe through his mouth,
And
man.
he does it slowly too, so he suffers.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that was brutal to
Yeah.
watch.
Tell me you wouldn't do that, though, if you were in the same situation.
I don't know what I would do if I was in the same situation. Um, so I don't know. There's a lot in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot visually that happens in this movie.
Yeah, because he's, like, out to make these people suffer, but he doesn't kill wantonly because he let that one girl go. Because she didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, dislike. What was your dislike?
So my dislike on this movie is that the key to this story, you don't really get the key to this story in explaining because everything it's you get to the end of the movie before the credits and you see like he takes LSD during the course of the movie and like it's like the demon LSD, so it gives him like the bad trip and he's like freaking out for the rest of the movie. He's like lost it almost, you know. Uh, Because, like, the other part I didn't talk about is, like, the ending of the movie where he sees his wife in the car as he's driving away, and he's just, like, got this crazy smile on his face, and he's, like, covered in blood, uh, which is f I watched this movie when it was, like, 10, 11 o'clock at night, and it freaked me the hell out to see
Oh
that.
yeah.
But, the real thing is, like, before any of this bad stuff happens, like, you see that Mandy, his wife, she's really into reading these sci-fi dystopian fantasy novels, and she's really into drawing. And what you see at the very, very, very end, after the credits, is all these drawings that she has done, and it leads you to believe one of two things: either she predicted everything that was going to happen, or B, this is just a book she's writing and this is we're watching the story of the book she's writing about and with her husband being the main character
Mm.
and about all this stuff and this is just not real life. This is just in her imagination. And I feel like if we had gotten that, that would help kind of characterize everything. It would kind of like help encapsulate everything and make it make more sense rather than us kind of pulling out and seeing seeing Saturn and Jupiter, which references to something that happens earlier in the movie, but seeing them just like kind of over the horizon, seeing these weird craggy spires and all this other stuff that are obviously LSD visions
Yeah.
uh, as he's driving away. Um, but yeah, that was like my one. That was one of my big bugaboos with this movie. Is just like I think the key to understanding it was like put like after the credits. Like, we really should have gotten that more up front kind of fade into her kind of like reading the story to her husband or something like that. Everybody's fine. Yeah.
Um, for me, besides it just not being my kind of movie, um, I hated that truly for till the action actually started. I was just like, what? Like things would happen and like I was paying attention, but I'm just like things would happen and like the random weird shots that they would do. I'm just like, why are they doing this? Like, I don't know. I just felt very confused for a long time.
Yeah. I will say they made Mandy look kind of freaky
Yeah,
until you realize she's not the freaky one. It's like other people. And so I think they like took the shots of her towards the last three quarters of the movie and made her look less scary looking.
yeah. It just, I don't know. Once the action started, it's just like, okay, from here on out, the story doesn't really matter. But it's like I don't know. It felt like they started off saying, okay, let's do a plot without really telling anybody what the plot is. And then they're like, all right, you know what? Fuck the plot. Let's do a lot of action.
Yeah. It's like, tell me a story without telling me a story.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like looking back, I thought too much about it because the way it started off, you're thinking, okay, so this is going to be a story movie because it felt like it, and then it turned into not really a story movie.
Mhm.
Um,
It's more of a visual experience.
but yeah, in general, this type of movie just is not my cup of tea. So, um, it was it was hard for me to get through.
I really would be curious to see what this would have been like to watch, on the big screen, which they are playing it on, in a theater in Fort Worth here, in April, so I may go check it out.
You go for it. I'll stay home.
Alright.
Um, all right, so I guess that leads us on to our rating. I feel like we know where we both land on this, but Anthony, how would you rate this?
You know, this is a visual experience that I feel like if you are a fan of Nick Cage, if you're a fan of, like, these grindhouse type movies, if you're a fan of just the horror genre in general, or if you're a fan of all 3, I think it's definitely worth experiencing. It's one of it's not as highly critically acclaimed as, Pig, which we talked about a few weeks ago, but it's one of Nick Cage's more highly critically acclaimed movies. Is it because of the visuals? Yes. Is it because of his acting? Yes. Is the story, like, an A plus? Not really, but it's not really about the story, it's about the journey, it's about what we see during that journey, so because of those things, I really recommend it. It's worth seeing. Don't let your kids watch it, though. They will have nightmares. You might have nightmares too, but, it's definitely worth a watch in my book. So cheers.
Um, for me, it's definitely a party foul. Even with the things I liked, honestly, I didn't like this movie. Um, from almost the very beginning till the end, it just I don't even know what else to say except for it's a no for me, dog. Like that's a hard pass. So it's a foul to me. I wouldn't recommend this to almost anybody that I know. Um, I can actually only think of one other person that would like something like this, but he all he does is watch horror films. Um, so I'd be like, hey, if you haven't seen it, you might like it. Yeah, just not my cup of tea. So I'd say that's
If he's into horror films, I'm willing to put money down that he's already seen this one.
oh, he probably has.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, hard party foul for me. So that leads us to who wins the Cage Fest. So we watched Pig, we watched Wicker Man, and we
Mhm.
watched Mandy.
Yep. Who wins the cage match?
So thinking about it,
Du-du-du-du-du.
there's only one that we both agreed was a cheers, and that was Pig.
That pig, yes.
So I would assume Pig wins.
I would say of the 3 that I watched, I did like Mandy a lot. And I was so-so on Wicker Man, but I really did enjoy Pig, and I would and you can watch that with your kids.
Yeah, you can pretty much watch
Yeah,
that
you
with
can watch that
anybody.
with you can invite your mom over, you can watch that. You can bring your neighbors over, you can, watch it with
They
your
have to be
dog, your
okay with
cat. Yeah.
cussing. That's
Yeah.
pretty much the only thing in there.
Yeah.
There's no sex scenes, which is nice.
That'd have been weird.
No peens.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
yeah,
there's definitely peens in Mandy.
yeah, there is.
Yeah.
And you see it. It's right there.
Yeah, it's front and center,
Um,
but what there is of it.
pretty much the only thing with Pig is, I mean, he's covered in blood and he cusses.
Yeah.
There's cussing. I feel like that's kind of it with
I
that
think it's
movie though.
justified cussing, though.
Yeah. So Plus, I mean, I feel like we had so much positive to say about Pig 2
Mhm.
versus the rest. So yeah, I would lean towards Pig.
Yep. So, champion of the 2022 Cage Fest cage match is Pig. Ding, 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 ding.
Forgot I had that
A quick reaction there. I like it.
button. So yeah, so if you're gonna watch any of the movies from Cage Fest, if you lasted this long listening to every episode and you didn't watch a single one, at least watch Pig.
Yeah. Also, you shouldn't wait that long. You
Yeah,
should watch it sooner.
yeah. If you haven't seen it by now, what's wrong with you? Um, thing of the week.
Thing of the week.
Thing of the week.
So it's my turn to go first.
It is your turn because
My turn to go first.
yeah,
So, as much as I want you to listen to our podcast, I have another podcast that I've been enjoying
this
that
freaking
I
guy.
wanted to share with you guys. So, I've you've heard me talk about a podcast called The Adventure Zone, which is a Dungeons and Dragons Let's Play podcast. Which do watch and do listen to that still because they're on like their fourth arc at this point, a fourth different story at this point, and it's really good. Highly recommend it. Oh, I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about a podcast called Dungeons and Daddies, which is not a BDSM podcast. Okay, maybe sometimes a BDSM podcast, but it's not usually a BDSM podcast. Um, but it's a podcast. It's a Dungeons and Dragons Let's Play podcast about four dads who get flung into the Forgotten Realms, which is where Dungeons and Dragons occurs, and they are in a journey to rescue their kids. And I've it's been going on since 2018. They just started their second season, so they went 4 years doing their first season. So you can tell how much they go into their storylines there. But I've been listening to it now for a few months. I listen to it while I'm driving, while I'm running, while I'm just like doing whatever. I just play it in the background. But the storytelling there, it's funny. It's got some it's got heart to it. It's it's got a lot of the stuff that you're really looking for, but I'd say most of all funny. Features the guys. If you're familiar with this, the podcast called Story Break, it features the guys. Will Campos is one of the names that comes to mind from that podcast. There's another. I think it's Freddie Arnold. I think his the name is. And there's a few others. But really, really good storytelling. Really interesting podcast. Really fun. Highly recommend it. Dungeons and Daddies. Just check it out. It's really cool.
Nice. I need to check it out.
Yeah.
I'm looking for more podcasts. Like
Oh,
I listen to the same ones over and over. I'm like, I need to get it switched up, you
yeah.
know?
I recommend The Adventure Zone before that, though.
You have
If
to
you haven't listened to any D&D podcasts yet, Adventure Zone first.
okay. I'll look into it. um so mine is he has videos on YouTube. He also goes live on Twitch, and his name is Kit Boga. So what he does is pretty much his job is to talk to scammers. So he tries to get like their information of like how to send them money because there's a lot of different scams out there, but he pretty much gets this information and like gets their accounts shut down, and he's even like caused like a police raid to happen at one of these call centers. So it's not just about wasting their time, but it's also about getting them shut down. But it's still some of the funniest stuff ever. I mean, like there's one where like he spends 10 hours on a phone call with a scammer go and like he just does like he has like this voice changer so he sounds like an old grandma, and then he's more of like he sounds and acts more like an old grandma than I think a real old grandma does. I don't know, it's so hard to explain, but just he always goes on weird adventures too. Like they're just like, okay, so you need to go. The scammers are telling him, like, you got to go get us gift cards to pay us back. and like he takes an Uber, and then he doesn't want to go inside, so he gives his card to the Uber driver. The Uber driver goes inside and like steals all his money, and like all this like just crazy shit that happens. But so I would recommend it. It's KITBOJG A. Excuse me, I lost.
It's on YouTube.
YouTube and Twitch. So funny stuff. Really, he has videos from, as long as you want. Like one time I sat there and listened to a 4-hour conversation while just at work. Like it's just background and it's funny. And I mean, there have been times where I've had to laugh really loud out loud at work. And it's funny stuff sometimes. So
Yeah, it's always fun when you do that, and your cube mate or something like that thinks you're like crying because you're stifling it.
Yeah, I was telling him whenever we were eating lunch before this, and I was telling about one of them, and I was trying so hard not to laugh out loud that I was making sounds. And she poked her head over. She goes, "Are you crying?" I'm like, "I'm just trying not to laugh out loud." So I mean, and it's funny stuff, especially thinking about like the scammer side of the situation. Like we see the situation where it's just like all fake and just funny random stuff, but thinking he thinks all this shit's like real and happening, and it's just it's funny. It's really funny.
It's like you gotta believe, man. You gotta believe.
And dude, they'll believe anything just to hopefully get some money out of you.
You gotta get those Walmart gift cards.
Yeah, man. So yeah, those are our things of the week. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us during this Cage Fest. It's been very cagey.
Yeah, we're gonna get back to our regularly scheduled programming.
That's right. Which we'll figure out what we're gonna watch. And again, if you guys have any ideas of what you want us to watch, let us know. Also, if there's any beer that you want us to drink, let us know.
Ryan, I have an idea.
Oh,
let's watch a Nick Cage movie.
Let's not. So, guys, you can find us over on YouTube at Let's Do a Podcast. You can also find us on YouTube at Nope. You can find us on, oh my God, Partycast Network. Ooh, man, the struggle. It's not like I haven't been saying this all day.
Just go to hit YouTube and hit enter, and we'll be there.
Yeah, we'll be there. So you can look up Partycast Network on any social media, and we will be there, along with a few other awesome podcasts. Or you can
click subscribe and hit the bell.
For sure.
Yes.
And then Let's Do a Podcast on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter.
Yeah. I've always wanted to say those two things because that's what everybody on YouTube always says. They say click subscribe and hit the bell.
Yes.
So do those two things.
Do them if you want.
No, not if you want. Do it.
Jeez, freaking Anthony. God.
Do it.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Let's end a podcast.
Bye. Subscribe and hit the bell.
Do it! We didn't talk about the beer. Cut the music. All right. We didn't end this thing. I didn't hit the button.
Just when you thought it was over.
Oh my God. I knew I missed something. Oh,
yeah, you got the classic fake out ending there.
Yeah, no joke. Oh, man.
Just when you thought you were free.
What a way to, for our last episode of this month.
This is our post credits right here.
Jeez. So if you hung around, because you're like, I want to jam out to this music, we're actually talking about the beer real quick. Anthony, what do you think about the beer?
Good.
That's it?
4. No. It's the coffee flavor is really good. It doesn't get old. I after a while I lost the notes of cinnamon and stuff as it just took some time with it.
Yeah, it's pure coffee now.
Yeah. The flavor is kind of heavy, but hey, it's a stout. So.
Yep. You said a 4?
I gave it a 4.
Yeah, I'd probably give it a 4 as well.
Yeah.
It's really good. I always struggle because sometimes coffee stouts, they're so strong on the coffee that I'm just like, I might as well just go get a cup of coffee. But this, I mean, it's still strong, but it's not overbearing, I feel.
Yeah.
So
it like borders on porter in my book.
Yeah, I could see that. So There you go. There's the beer.
Part
Now
2.
listen to music. Goodbye, everybody. We'll see you next month.